Hi guys, I'm back again. Hopefully, technically, this is much better. I'm just going directly through Facebook this time. I was going through another platform before, and so can you do me the same favor as you come on? Just say hi, even if you're not planning to stay. Just say hi, just so I know that the platform's working. That would be amazing. Thank you very much. And today I am going to answer a question that was asked of me. A question that was asked of me last week to answer, and it's a wonderful thing to receive questions so that I can have stuff to talk about. Hey, Belinda, thank you very much. Thanks for saying hey, and Neil, hey, what's up? Okay. So one thing I do want to do just before we start this, which is I did it before also if you're on the live feed that I started a second ago, but I just need to share this to my Bizzo page, Zoe Swain Health, so that is also running at the same time. So let's just make that happen really quickly. If you can just bear with me. Okay, so yeah, amazing. Let's share that. Oops, share. God, if you don't know technology, life can be really quite challenging, can't it? Okay, so that's posted now. If you are joining in, say hello. Please say hello. Like, have no fear. I'm not going to bite you. I promise I'll say hello back. So today the question that I want to tackle is the masculine and the feminine in the workplace. And this is going to be so helpful if you're in a relationship, or if you want to date somebody, or if you're a man, or if you're a woman, even if you're both or not really fitting into either. This is going to help you because there's other men and other women in your workplace and in your life that you have to deal with. So I just need to find the question that was so lovingly sent in to me so I can be really specific on the answer. Search. Swear to God. It's like when I teach yoga, I need a DJ to work the music so I need someone to do this for me. Okay, so I'm not going to say the person's name, but I know they're on the live feed now, which is wonderful. I'd love your ideas on dealing with men who are used to being the dominant ones in their families, with females in their families not having much of a say and no ideas of their own. I have a predominantly male group of which I am secretary, and most of them can't stand me having quite a lot of input and standing up for what I believe in. Interesting. So there's kind of a few parts to this, and I know that as women, we often talk about this. We often say that this is quite. I'm just going to move my desk. This is quite relevant, and I've heard a lot of women talk about this. And you know what? I've also heard a lot of men on the other side talking about women in a similar situation. So this wasn't particularly in the workplace, but I'm going to join it back to the workplace. I'm going to join it back to home as well. So firstly, what's the masculine? What is the masculine? Because some people, I wish I could just get this square. No, I think I'm just wonky. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Okay, I've gone the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so what is the masculine and what is the feminine? The masculine is what we think of as a male, but not necessarily, because we have male and female, or we have masculine and feminine inside of all of us. You're just as much masculine as feminine, or you have the ability to be both. We do tend to be a little bit more one-sided than the other. For instance, I'm quite masculine, and all of my life I've been quite masculine. I'm a real doer. I make decisions. I kick ass. I'm quite focused. But then, so that's what the masculine is. The masculine is that. The masculine is focus. The masculine is intent. The masculine is doing rather than being, is doing. The masculine's a problem solver. What else? Like strength, the pillar, you know, the pillar, the doing, making decisions, cognitive thinking, problem solving, massively problem solving. So that's what the masculine energy is. And the feminine energy is softness and love and joy and dance and creativity and mother energy. It's more of a yin, more of a stillness. And you can even, like, you can just see by the way that I've changed, like the minute I start talking about feminine, I'm like, oh, yum, it's juicy, it's soft, it's girly. And when you start talking about the masculine, it's like, yeah, it's the doing, it's the fucking go-getting. Like, that's what the masculine is. So I love that just kind of happens in my body. It's awesome. So, okay. So this is really important to know when you're dealing with any masculine and any feminine, because men, as a generalization, men are predominantly masculine. They're problem solvers, they're thinkers, they're doers. They're the hunters, the women are the gatherers. The women, like, nurture each other. They nourish the tribe. They raise the children. They give the love. They, you know, love their man at the end of a hard day of hunting, that sort of stuff. Whereas the man's like, fuck, the tribe's hungry, let's go get the food and fix the problem, you know, and nothing else really matters. So yeah, and I've talked about this some on live feeds before. So if you have any questions, just fire away while I'm talking so that I can be more clear, because for me, I am quite masculine, but I also get quite feminine and kind of like flow off into other directions. So, and if you're a man watching this, that can get quite frustrating. So so now that we know what the masculine is and what the feminine is, they really complement each other beautifully. But sometimes it gets confusing, because when the masculine is around other masculine, for instance, and like I said before, men aren't all masculine and women aren't all feminine, okay? Very obvious. I mean, you'll know women who are just like, yeah, man, like, let's just get shit done and make a decision and, you know, really focus and, you know, fuck that airy shit off. Let's just, you know, get to where we're going. And then you'll also know men that are like, oh yeah, like that feels beautiful. And, you know, they come from more of a heart space than like a doing space. So we intertwine one to the other. You know, you might go to a yoga class and be all lovey and feely, and then you go to your work and you're like, yeah, you know, business mind. And that's perfect. That's the balance of the masculine and feminine, the integration of both. And then there's healthy and then there's unhealthy. Hey, Deb, thanks for saying hey. But I'm not going to get too far into the healthy and the unhealthy and all that today. I'm just going to try and answer this question. So let's go back to it. The question is, I love your ideas on dealing with men who are used to being the dominant ones in their family, with females in their family not having much of a say and no ideas of their own. So let's tackle that first. First of all, the natural masculine state is a dominant state. So there's nothing wrong with a man being dominant. There's nothing wrong with a female being dominant either. But there's nothing wrong with that dominance. And actually, in a really healthy relationship at home, there's a beautiful balance of both. So you've got the masculine, you've got the feminine, and sometimes the woman can be the decision maker, and sometimes she can just be the nurturer and the nourisher and the lover. And, you know, sometimes the woman will make the financial decisions. But a lot of times what I find happens is the feminine takes over the masculine role. And honestly, I see that so much, and it's really fucking unhealthy. And I say that from a place of love, because I work with, hey, Nadine, because I work with a lot of people who are trying to heal what that has happened. And I've gone through that journey myself, so I know exactly what the fuck is going on. So as women, what can happen is sometimes we feel like the man is not doing enough, so we have to take over. But actually what's happening is the man just needs rest and space from his doing life, because he can't do all the time. He'll get burnt out. So if he's going to like a job where he's really doing and making decisions and being a man and being in the masculine, then he needs to come home and like be nurtured and be recharged by his woman. I know I'm gonna wake up some feminists here, but anyway. So that's really important, that a man does receive that from his woman when he's in that kind of a role. Yeah, good. Thanks for being like commenting, Nadine, and being involved. And as so this is kind of what happens at the workplace, is when a woman or a man goes to the workplace, and it's a workplace, shit gets done at your workplace. Okay, so usually at your workplace everyone's in a more masculine state, but it's confusing for men to see women in a masculine state, and they may not realize it, but what happens is when a man is his masculine self, he's like, yeah, man, like I'm my masculine self. I'm a fucking dude. He's around other men, and he may not talk like I'm a fucking dude at work. He may be a professional at work and not speak like that, of course, but that's the way I speak. When he's around other men can focus on what they've got to do. Men will get in a boardroom and be like, what's the agenda? Let's kick ass, get to the point, done, let's go have lunch. Like, you know, A to B to C, done. What can happen in a work? So there's a few things. Firstly, when a woman is in that space, it's harder for a man to be in his masculine, because when when there's a female in the place, there's some sexual charge there, and this may not apply to you in particular, but I'm just going to explain it out anyway. There's some sexual polarity there. So when there's a female in the room, men aren't being the way they are when they're just with men. And the same with women. So when you're a woman and you're all hanging out with all girlfriends and you're like, yeah, blah, 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 talkity talk, a man walks in the room and the whole dynamic changes. That's the sexual polarity, and that's the masculine and the feminine. So you might find that, oh, actually, I need to sit up a bit taller, or like, are my boobs, you know, like, how do I look? Or, you know, and it may not even be that kind of sexual polarity, but you do notice it, right? Yeah, hey, Hannah, good to hear from you. Yeah, you get what I mean, right? You said you agree. Nadine says, no, that's so true. Been with my man for 23 years, and that's so right. Thanks, Nadine. Yeah, so we have to understand this, and it doesn't matter if you're a really sexual, beautiful woman or you just one of the dudes. Like, you're still a woman, and you go into that man's space, or not the man's space, he doesn't own it, but you go into that space of doing where you got to focus and like get shit done, and you bring your feminine energy in there. You may not be very feminine, but you're still the feminine being. You're still, you know, that femininity in you. And men will find it hard to be men the way that they would be if you weren't in the room. And look, you know, I could be totally, you know, the way that I feel about, so what I do, I'm not going to say do this for you, the person asking this question, but what I do is when I know shit needs to get done, when it's at home, or maybe it's in a work situation, because I do work with other males. When I know shit needs to get done, and there needs to be, and the males need some input, whether it be my son, my ex, my, you know, current lover, whatever, I see that and I allow space. That's what the feminine does. She dances around the masculine. The masculine is the pillar, the lingam, the sword. The feminine is she dances around that. She moves around. She flows around the pillar. And I know that's kind of hard to take as a woman when you're fucking strong and you're like, yeah, I'm a go-getter. But this is the thing, is you can still be a go-getter. You can still be that fucking kick-ass woman with so much power and so much, you know, like pull in your workplace, but you have to soften to the masculine. Okay? So you have to soften to the masculine. That means, it doesn't mean you can't be there when they make decisions. It doesn't mean you can't be the one who makes the decisions, but it has to be done with an air of tact and a little bit of a different way of going around it. So when we're in our masculine and we walk into a room of men and we go, you know what, I'm one of you and I get a fucking say, and I, you know, like my idea is this, men get very thrown off. That's probably what you've experienced in this situation, is when you're like, you know, trying to get across your piece, but you're doing it in a masculine way, an abrupt way, a straightforward way, because it's like, well, that's the way they communicate. That must work. That's great, but that's the way men communicate. The way that women need to, and I will say that, I will say need to communicate in the situation is to be like, hey guys, so what I thought of, and if you'd be happy to hear me out, was this. And this was my idea, and I kind of thought that maybe we'd do it this way, and then that would create these benefits, and, you know, kind of explain it out, and rather than just being like, this is what's happening, I want to make this decision, I want to be respected. Men will absolutely and utterly respect the shit out of you if you just soften to them. That's all you have to do. And it's not about bowing down to them. It's not about losing your power. It's about being in your feminine. And men will respect the shit out of you because they no longer see this like confusing beast of a woman who's like, well, she's a woman, but she's like acting like a man. I'm so confused. So unconsciously, they're just like, what is happening right now? And then they get disgruntled. They're like, what even is she? I mean, I'm not an ugly woman. And I remember times when I was teaching equine dentistry when men would just be like, fuck, you're hideous. Like, you're so mean and you're so abrupt. And like, they just didn't know what to do with me. And I look back now and I think, oh my God, because I was so masculine and I thought to be respected by a man, you needed to be like a man. And it's actually the fucking opposite. It's totally the opposite. So Des says, tact, so right. Belinda, is it that we step in their space of providing and then not allowing them to do that? Yes and no, the space of providing. When men are in their work situation, they're not so much thinking of providing. It can be that way at home, definitely, Belinda, because I know you understand a little bit more about this because you've read some books and, you know, we've worked together and stuff. But at work, it's more about doing. It's not so much about providing, I wouldn't say. Not all the time, definitely. It's more about just doing. And when a woman comes in and tries to act like a man, it's just confusing. So that's all I'd say is like the masculine sees the feminine, but here's the masculine coming out. And also the other thing, girls, is like if you're coming across as a man in this situation, like as the masculine in this situation, be ready to be treated like shit, because men talk to each other the way that we don't talk to each other as women. Men talk to each other like, mate, that's stupid. That's a stupid idea. Like, what sort of an idiot thinks of that? If a man said that to you in your work situation, what would you do? How would you feel? Oh my God, I'd feel like someone had stabbed me, especially a man. Like, he's so strong. And like on a primal level, we are living in fear all the time. Women are living in this like kind of innate sense of a little bit of fear. We don't really say that we are, but it's like, you know, we always feel like the lesser strength of the, you know, physical strength of the sex. So it's almost like when a man like comes at you, you're like, oh my God, oh, I got attacked. But you're acting like a man, so you've got to expect that. So what I'm saying is if you act like a woman, you don't need to deal with that. He knows you're a woman. You talk like a woman, or the feminine, not like a woman. Women are different these days than they were 50 years ago. but the feminine, you be more in the flow, you soften your heart, you talk from your heart space, you say how you feel, and also if you're wanting something to be done, well, this is what I suggest. What do you guys think? Because as we know, women, most of the times we'll say to a man, and guys, this is really worth listening to, most of the times we'll say, oh, hey, I don't know, I'm just thinking like, we'll give a man an idea, and then he'll be like he didn't even hear it. It's like he didn't even hear it. And then he goes away and he goes, oh, I've got this great idea. And then he comes back and says about his idea, and it's exactly the same thing you said. And you're like, what? Like, and this happens in the workplace all the time. You're like, that was my idea. Like, I came up with that brilliance. But the thing is, as women, it really helps if we just suggest the idea to the men. Your idea is still getting done, but you have to drop away your ego to the point where it's like, well, I don't necessarily need the recognition for having the idea. Like, that's not really even going to, shift the world if you don't get the recognition for that idea. But if you want that idea to come to fruition, hand it to a man and let him take it forward. That's how you get shit done. Vicky, how dare Lucas call while I'm listening to you? Okay, got it. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping I'm making sense so far about the masculine and the feminine in the workplace, and the same thing at home. Now, at home, you may feel like, there's so many different things I could talk about right now. You may feel like, I don't know. How do you feel? Like, throw some stuff at me. Is there stuff that you guys want answers to about your home stuff? Because I'm just kind of coming up with like stuff that's happened to me. And the other thing is too, which I want to mention is, as a woman, if you're really masculine, if you're able to be in your masculine and in your feminine, like, and kind of dive between both, like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing. It's wonderful. And same with the man, when he's able to soften and come from his heart space and then stand up and be like, fucking, I'm a decision maker and I'm going to, like, this is what I'm doing. And that's beautiful. Like, that's an integration of masculine and feminine. It's so beautiful. So, okay, great. This is awesome information. Okay, good. We're benefiting. Emotionally met. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm guessing you're saying you want to be emotionally met. The thing you have to realize is that men aren't emotional creatures like women. They're not. They're doing creatures. They are like fucking powerhouses, but they think very differently. They do things. We feel things. So women, like, we're like, oh, I wish he would, like, talk to me about his feelings. And men are just like, fuck, I wish you would stop talking to me about my feelings. Because men just want to be more simple. They want to be like, that's what needs to be done. I can do that. They're problem solvers. That's why when we come to them and we're a mess, like, emotionally, they're just a mess emotionally, because they're like, what the fuck can I do to help you to fix this? Because they want to fix it. And that is so beautiful. So, like, a lot of times women will be saying, why does he always just want to fix it? All I want is like some salvation or some sympathy. And men are like, sympathy? How is that fixing anything? Like, they're fixers, they're solvers. And it's so beautiful to see them in that and to understand that, because, like, I mean, who doesn't want their problems fixed? Like, well, actually, some people don't. Some people love to wallow in their shit, and that's fine. That's for them. But for me, before I understood this kind of stuff, I'd be the same. I'd be like, oh my God, men just can't fucking, like, even talk about their feelings, or like, what's going on? But when you soften to men, when you soften to the masculine and you become super soft and gooey and feminine and loving, and maybe like just all they need is for you to not sit in front of them and be like, what's wrong with you? Maybe they just need you to sit beside them and just stroke their hair. Or, this is probably not for a workplace situation, but maybe. But at home, just stroke their hair and just hold them. Like, that shit is invaluable. That's what they need. That's what men, from my experience, that's what men crave. And men who get that from their woman, they become so powerful in their work. They become so powerful because it's the feminine that lights the masculine. You know, like when a man doesn't have that nurture and that give and that love in his life, he's nowhere near as powerful as a man who does. Yeah. Okay. So there's a second part to this question. If you have any questions, okay. So going back to Vicky's comment about being emotionally met. If you want to talk about emotions, call your girlfriends. It's easy. Call your girlfriends. It's like, let somebody else hold the bucket. Let a girl hold the bucket, because girls will listen to girls yabber on for ages, and it's beautiful. It's like, oh my God, how are you? This happened, and it's all because of the way that our brain fires, and primarily how we're designed to work, and why that. I mean, I'll go into it in a different video. I'm not going to get into why that works for women and it doesn't for men exactly as far as the tribe goes, but if you want to talk about emotions, call your girlfriends. Ask them to come over. Tell them what's going on. Oh, my God, this and that. And they'll give you sympathy all day long. Feminine women or women who are like holding the bucket for their friends, they don't usually give advice. And that's great, because some of us just need to be heard. If you only have a man to do that with, like, you know, maybe you've moved somewhere with your man and you don't have anyone, like you're just like, oh, I just want him to, I'm cold, sorry guys. I just want him to hear me sometimes. Then that's all you need to do is you need to tell him, you need to sit down with him and say, babe, so I was wondering if I could just talk about my feelings to you for like five minutes, if we could set a timer. And I'm not kidding. We could set a timer, and if you could just hear my feelings and not say anything, maybe the only things that you might say would be, okay, or how does that make you feel? Like, think of the things that your girlfriends would say and just say, I don't want you to fix anything. I just need to talk. Then he set a timer. I mean, it might be 10 minutes, but he needs a time frame, because listening to a woman talk about her emotions and how all this shit is wrong with her, but not allowing him to fix that is like torture for a man. It's torture. So that's all I have to say about that. Now, the second part to the question, please let me know if there's anything else, you know, you're feeling to have me talk about while I'm here. Okay, I have a predominantly male group of which I'm secretary, and most of them can't stand me having quite a lot of input and standing up for what I believe in. Why do you need to? You know, do you feel like all the men are stupid? I mean, do you? Do you feel like they can't handle the decision making? Do you feel like your ideas are better? Like, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way or getting up you by any means, but I'm just asking, like, why do you need to be heard? Do you need to be heard because you weren't heard enough as a little girl? Or, like, I mean, I'm delving pretty deep here, but this can be part of it. Like your patterns, your negative beliefs that you've carried around since you're a little girl, you know, maybe that's coming into it. I mean, there's so many different reasons as to why you feel you need to be coming up against men in your workplace or in your community, or why do you feel like you need to be in charge? I ask myself that a lot. And that comes from stories that I told myself when I was a little girl. Like, we all have stories that we tell ourselves. It doesn't matter how wonderful or shit your parents were, you're still going to end up with stories from your childhood that aren't going to serve you. So without delving too much into the stories, I would say they can't stand me having, I think I've kind of covered this. They can't stand me having quite a lot of input. I would just say that in that case, just try the tools that I've given you and soften, hear them out. And the other thing is, at your workplace, try this. Do not interrupt a man when he's speaking. If you're in a committee meeting, if you're at dinner with your lover, I mean, any situation where there's a man. If your son is talking to you, do not interrupt a man when he's speaking. Men are single focus, and that doesn't mean anything other than the fact that they are single focused. It's not derogatory. It's not like there's nothing wrong with being single focused. In fact, men are amazing for getting shit done. So when you interrupt a man, you cut off his train of thought. And when he has some place to be and you cut him off, that is annoying. That is really annoying. So I would say allow the men to say their piece. Like allow them and hear them out, because a lot of times we hear a man and we're not really, like, we're thinking about, oh, what's for dinner? And what was I going to say about that bit? And I should write this down. And, I'm just thinking about this particular woman in her, committee meeting. Because we're we're not even multi-focused. We're like diffuse awareness. So we can't actually focus on anything in particular. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because we get so fucking like our mind's just racing 100 miles an hour. When you walk through your house and you're like, oh, fuck, the cushion's out of place. And, the kids didn't clean up. Oh, my God. And then you're like standing in a room going, oh, I came in here to do something. What was it? So in that case, allow the men to say their piece, or your man to say his piece and to talk and to completely be heard out, because he may actually be having the same idea that you have. And if he can say it first, beautiful. Just be like, oh, I totally agree with that. That's wonderful. And instead of trying to be heard around men, like trying to be really heard and respected, just soften to the feminine, or soften your feminine to the masculine. And if that doesn't help him to come up with the ideas that you already had, then at the end of when he's finished and you've given him space, when he's finished talking, you could just say, hey, I have something to say as well. Is that okay? Cool. All right. So this is what I was thinking. And then you could just say, your piece, like, I was thinking that we do it this way and that would help us in this way, and, blah, blah, blah. And then put it back to him. What do you think about that? So what that does is he's able to think, okay, she's not trying to cut my balls off, because when you come at a situation and you're like, rah, it's like, oh, Jesus, this woman is trying to emasculate the shit out of me. Like, she just wants my balls on the table. So you could offer him that idea. What do you think about this idea? And then you could hear him out again. He might be like, first of all, he's probably going to look at you like, are you on drugs? Why are you not speaking to me the way you normally speak to me? And secondly, he could just say, yeah, like maybe he'll say, I think that's a really good idea. How about we do it this way? And all of a sudden it's his idea. And that's great. That's wonderful, because it's going to get done then. It's beautiful. So hopefully that helps you to, kind of understand a little bit more of the masculine and the feminine. I'm going to go really shortly. So does anyone have any questions that they'd like me to cover before I end this video? Anything at all? All right. Well, without further ado, questions are still welcome to come in, but I am going to announce right now the name of my book that's coming out for Christmas. I just signed on with a publisher and I'm so excited. I'm pooing myself as well. I've been working on this book for 3 years and just been procrastinating. Like, all of the ideas were there the very first day I started writing it, and all of my chapters were already there and everything was already there. But I've spent really essentially probably 2 out of those 3 years just procrastinating and saying that I've got so much going on in life, I just don't have time for that, and hiding behind my insecurity of, putting out this book that, like, oh my God, what if it's not good enough? But the thing is, it is good enough. It's fucking awesome. And so the book is called Unfuck Yourself. And it's the same title to this book, my first book, as I run my workshops under. My workshops are usually called Unfuck Yourself. And it's basically feeling fucked to fully free. So it's feeling, fucked, like moving from feeling fucked to fully free. And I originally wrote this for women because I was working with a lot of women at the time and I was running all women's workshops. but it's kind of just as good for men. Like reading it back now, I'm like, actually, this is really good. And it's great for men to read about a woman's point of view, because then they understand where she's coming from. So it is pointed towards women, but the more I'm reading it from a masculine perspective, I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, this is a really good book for men as well to have. So that's my book, and it's going to launch at some stage before Christmas. And I really hope that if you're watching this, or, if you have any sort of resonance with the work that I do on any level, then you'll join me for the book launch. I'll be announcing dates and times and all of that sort of thing, where you'll be able to get the book for like almost nothing, just for the first 24 hours that it's available. It's going to be on Amazon and Kindle and iTunes, and it's going to be paperback and hardcover and ebook and all of that stuff. It's going to be all over the world. So I'm really, really excited for this opportunity to share with you. It's going to talk about pretty much all of the things that all of the steps and strategies I use to break free of feeling shit, and the way that I have completely transformed my life to where I travel all over the world, and I just so much stuff I want to share with you, not just about traveling, but around relationships, and around maybe even juggling kids if you've got kids, around men, around diet, around lifestyle, around fucking clarity in life purpose, and everything. So this book is my first book. Is just kind of like a test, like not a tester, but like a window into the things that have really helped transform my life. And it wasn't shit before. I had, a great life before, but there were some big challenges in my life that I've had to work through. Just my own stuff. And a lot of us, we have our own stuff that we're carrying around regardless of our past or, future or whatever. So this is a book that is going to help free you of your bullshit, basically. So I'm really excited about that. And so if you are interested in connecting with me around that, if you have any inkling to maybe host a book launch, or host a workshop, or anything like that, anywhere in Australia or in the States or in New Zealand or anything, touch base with me. It's coming into a time in the year when I am starting to be more yang in my workshops. I had some workshops at the beginning of the year and finished those up, and then I want to take a really big break from doing workshops for a while, because I just had felt like I was putting a lot into workshops and I needed to put more into my personal life. And I've just been so busy with some really big projects going on, and lots of overseas travel, and, just life and my children and all of that. But it's coming to that time of year when the workshops are starting to be planned again, and the book launch is going to be amazing. I'm so excited. What else? If you're interested in getting in touch with me about any of the services that I do, then you can find me at zoeswain.com. Otherwise, my other website is interstellaraustralia.com, and I'll put a little link in the comments here. Interstellar Australia, australia.com, is where I sell all of the herbs, the super herbs, interstellar herbs that I sell. And if you aren't already taking these, then you should definitely. Oh, I didn't see all the rest of the comments. my page hadn't refreshed and scrolled down. Thanks for commenting, you guys. What a dork. I haven't seen any of these other comments from like after the first few. If you haven't already checked out the herbs that I sell and take myself, then you fucking totally need to. They're amazing, and I talk about those in my book and how they're just life-changing. But if you'd like to connect with me around the coaching that I do, and I'm a raw food and naturopathic nutritionist. I do Tantra. I teach yoga here in Newcastle. I have a background of hypnotherapy and what else? Basically, I think I'm pretty good at helping people transform their lives and relationships. So can I just have a little look at some of these comments now that I'm so excited? Yeah, so we've got, oh my God, there's so many freaking comments. Thanks, you guys. I'm just going to go back really quickly. Yes, so true. Yes, love it. Nadine says, yeah, my hubby loves to be loved up at home and that helps him get through his work. Absolutely. And if a man is going to work in and being like, or even a woman, you know, if someone's going to work and they're having to be super like do all day, you can't come home and be do. So if you're wondering why your man gets home or your wife comes home and just wants to fucking lie on the couch like a potato, that's why. Because they're burnt out. Like they've had enough doing today. They just need to be now. There has to be a balance in life. Life will find its balance. You can't do and not end up with fatigue. You can't just be doing. You have to be at some stage. You have to yin. You have to chill. You have to feminine it out. Often I vent to my girls and I feel like that's what I should be doing to my partner. So definitely agree with everything said. Feeling less guilty, I tell my girls than outpouring to Lucas because he's a fixer, not well an emotional thinker. Agreed, well spoken. Thanks, darling. Belinda, I understand and I hear you works very well. Great, thanks, Belinda. Nadine, so true. Ha ha ha. Belinda says ask instead of demanding. Absolutely. Ask, like just soften, ask, be that love, that gentle, you know, like some women will say like, oh fuck, you know, she gets everything, like the men just dote over her, like, you know, because there'll be that girl in the workplace that's like, oh hi, like how are you, but the powerhouse woman that's like in there and she's got her, you know, ego and her stature, she's like, oh, fucking, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing and men just fall over her. That's bullshit. But she gets more done than you. She gets more respect from the men than you. And maybe it's a sexual respect, but it's a respect. And that's what happens between the feminine and the masculine. It's all sexual. Like maybe it's mother-father energy. Maybe it's sexual energy. Maybe there's all sexual polarity going on there. So you want to use it to complement each other and use it to your advantage, not in a manipulative way. So those powerhouse corporate women, you could learn a little from that girl, from that temp or, you know, coffee girl or whatever she is, like, you know, the softness. She gets actually respect. It may not look like respect in your eyes, but that's your stuff. She actually is getting respect from the men. Deb, wow. Nadine, that's awesome. I love it. Belinda, yay, love it. Nadine, I'll be there for sure. Yay. Deb, looking forward to reading the book. Great. Wonderful. You powerful, beautiful goddess. Thanks, Vicky. I'm so not a goddess, but I'm just a human. All right. So I've put the links there to if you'd like to work with me personally. Also, okay, so the workshop that we have coming up at the end of the year in December, it's going to be the first or second weekend in December. So if you're interested in getting on board with that, I already have people enrolled in that before we even put the content out. So it's going to be one for men and one for women. There's going to be a weekend, so it's going to be Saturdays women, Sundays men, or vice versa. And I'm going to be doing that with a very special friend from the States who's coming over, and he teaches men's work and tantra and all sorts of things all over the world with his beloved. And we're going to work together to really bring something quite incredible and wonderful to Newcastle. So if you'd like to be part of that, travel, like, fucking make it happen. You know, I used to do my teacher training in Bondi and I lived in Gunnedah, 7 hours each way. Like, you know, you just, if you want something, you want change in your life, you make it happen. So if you're interested in being a part of that, just contact me in some way and I can put you on a list for it to be first on the list to be involved, because we're only taking quite a small amount of people because it's kind of special. Belinda, you can enroll for it now, babe. Just inbox me. All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. Subscribe to my website, zoeswain.com, and that way when I do send out stuff in the newsletter, you'll be told, and I'll also be able to keep you informed about the book launch, as well as on my personal page and on Zoe Swain Health Facebook page. Just click follow, and you can be updated or whatever Facebook does. Instagram is zoeswain.com. It's all one word, ZOESWAINDOTCOM. So you can find me on there. And that's kind of where I post some saucy stuff that I don't usually share with the Facebook world. So that's a good one to connect with. That's it for now. Heading out. Have a wonderful day. And I hope that I answered this question to your satisfaction. Also, one more thing, if you were on this live call and this is something I forgot to, when we had the technical issue, I forgot to say, but if you're interested in trying some interstellar herbs, if you were on this call, the first person to inbox me about a trial pack will be getting sent a trial pack. And you need to do it ASAP, because I head to Vietnam in the morning. This is going out this afternoon. So if you're interested in trying some interstellar, inbox me and ask me, just say, hey, what's with the trial pack? I'm interested. All right. I'm going to leave you guys with it. Have an amazing evening. And that's it. Bye.